So today we're going to focus on Xerxia versus Team Liquid, and obviously I did a video about Xerxia on Ascent yesterday, so I'm not going to focus on Ascent again, so I thought I'd take a look at Icebox instead, where a lot of interesting things happened. Obviously this series was wild and full of crazy moments, and we'll get into some of them on Icebox here, but just a wonderful series played between these two teams. And so let's start the analysis here, and we'll start with the very first round. There isn't too much to this first round. The pistol round, Xerxia are on the defensive side and Liquid are on the attacking side. I'll briefly talk about the comps because it's a fairly standard comp at this point. Obviously Jett, Sage, Sova and Viper have been, meta for a very, very long time on this map. But both teams have opted to go with the Killjoy as well. This isn't a great surprise because generally when you look at the stats, the Killjoy seems to come in pretty big in terms of win rate on this map. So it's not a surprise to see both teams trying it out, and I think both teams found success with it as well. So let's take a look at this first pistol round here. And what we're actually going to get from the side of Xerxia, who are on the defending side, is they're going to walk down mid. And they do this a couple times. They actually did it in the very next round as well, where they have these three pushed up here and, ready to go to mid. The Viper is actually going to come in here and just support and kind of keep an ear out to see if there's any big movement towards B. And obviously if there is, the Viper will move back. And then they're just going to leave the Sage on their own, with the wall, with the slows to be able to hopefully delay in time for these players to get back towards A. But this time, they are actually going to run into Liquid as well. They're going to send this dart onto this wall, as you can see here. Liquid have actually got a kind of slow and molly lineup thing going on towards the B side. Maybe, towards the back of yellow or something like that. But Link is actually going to get pinged by the arrow because of that. But of course, there's a lot more people there. Now, because they are setting that up, basically this is just a timing thing where Link is just a little slow to get this orb up because he was doing that lineup there. And so Surf is just able to catch them off guard and get the first kill before this orb goes up. And now Liquid are kind of in a bit of a weird spot because this is the Jett that's just got that kill. And it very well could be that, the Jett has just pushed on her own with that Sova dart that comes in. This could just be a Jett. And in which case, obviously, these three Liquid players should try and re-aggress and just kill the Jett. Obviously, what they don't know is it's actually a full stack of players. And so basically, because you've got the Killjoy coming out of tube here and you've got the Sova closer to the wall, they just create some slightly different angles and they are able to mop up because of that. They catch off the Liquid players and they are able to pretty much dominate this round and end up in a 5v1, which they will win. And now let's take a look at round 6, which happens much the same because as you can see, we got our Jett here ready to aggress down mid, and that is exactly what's going to happen. Exact same setup, right? Where you got the Sage, the Killjoy, and the Jett and the Sova together here in mid, ready to push down, and Viper, in this similar sort of position, ready to help out if needs be. Now what happens is they wait for this orb to go down. The Sova is going to take a quick jump peek there. To check no one's close, and then he's going to send out the drone now that they know no one's close. And then what's going to happen is the Jett, after the drone has tagged someone, he's tagged Navera all the way back here in spawn. So now the rest of the Liquid players are focusing on the drone and making sure it doesn't see much else. But that is when Surf is going to peek with it, and you can see Soulcast shooting the drone there. You also get to tag there on Navera, but can't find the kill, and they decide, well, we're in a 5v4 now, so let's just run back. We've done what we needed to do, and they feel pretty comfortable with that. But then as we run this round forward, what you're going to see is Liquid initially wanted to go to A. They put the Viper wall up and all that. They were ready to go, but then they got delayed and they decided not to, and so they're instead coming back towards this B site. But you can see we've got Sushi Boys here on the Killjoy, who is about to win this round for the side of Xerxia with his intelligent play, because what he has at his disposal is obviously his turret, and he has a nanoswarm already set up there, as you can see by the map. But he also has his ultimate here and one nanoswarm left, and that is basically going to win them the round. Those two little abilities there is going to win the round because of this time pressure that they have created on Liquid. So Liquid start to come into the site, but straight away Sushi Boys pops the Killjoy lockdown, putting even more time pressure on these Liquid players that they have to get the spike down before this goes off, otherwise there won't be time. He pops the first nanoswarm, so to delay the plant a bit more, and then with the second one he starts running up there and he's going to put that other nanoswarm down, and there it goes. It starts popping off, and Link unfortunately is going to die to it. There it goes. And so he dies. And now with, this Killjoy lockdown having only a second left and there's only 7 seconds left on the clock, they're not going to be able to get the spike down because anyone trying to plant the spike would get detained. And so, yeah, the round ends. And a really, really great round there from the side of Xerxia, because they actually got Navarra to use his attacking Killjoy lockdown as well as a response to it. But really well played by Sushi Boys there, knowing that, he had that extra nanoswarm ready for the actual plant itself. Very well played by him, and he pretty much won this round for them. And now let's come to the very next round, and we see some very interesting things from the side of Xerxia, because they kind of do a similar sort of setup in a lot of ways, and they have a lot of tricky things going on their defensive side. One of them is that you'll see here, we're going to see a similar setup from the Killjoy and the Sova here in mid and aggressing with it, but this one, isn't going to be a full aggressive push. They don't have the jet with them this time, so it's just a Sova drone out mid, and again, if anyone wasn't here, it would create that same sort of paranoia. And then if we go back, well, we don't even need to go back, but you can see here that we've got the jet and the sage. Now this jet has an op that's obviously looking down the B corridor here, but then you've got the sage in this aggressive position. So the idea is, if Liquid, for instance, were to come towards B, the jet's going to op, hopefully get that first kill, maybe dash away, and then, the rest of Liquid probably think, well, okay, we can re-aggress, and the sage here is in this kind of, very tricky, sneaky position here that's kind of a bit of a bait setup, where the sage, they won't check this corner because they're not expecting it at all, and they've seen the jet run off, and so this sage then hopefully can be able to get the kills. Now that actually doesn't happen, because as you can see, Liquid are going towards the A site instead. But they have a plan for what happens if they go A. So it's almost like in this round, they had a plan for, well, if they go B, we've got this set up. If, they are in mid for whatever reason, we, can probably scare them with this Sova drone and that it might be a push again, and we'll make them very paranoid about what's going on in mid. And if they come to A, you've got this ult here from Scary, which is very, very interesting. Quite a weird ult that you don't normally see. But obviously cutting off like half of the site, and often the side of the site that you want to plant on is on this side, right? Because the post plant situations on this side of the site aren't really that good. So it's basically almost a dare of come and try and plant on this side of the site if you want, because it's not going to go well for you. They just trust and believe that that's not going to be the case. Liquid actually, as we play this round forward, begin to think about it, and they start thinking, well, yeah, we can do this. We've got a good chance at doing this, but actually that isn't going to be the case, because they do start to aggress here towards this A site. They take a look, they're probably a bit like, oh, this is an interesting Viper ult. There is space to plant there. Should we go for it? They decide to drone in. They get their own Viper wall down there on this site as well. And they decide to try and go for it. But then, unfortunately, Soulcast gets caught out by Sushi Boys. And that, I think, after Liquid are about to retrieve the spike here, that is kind of the onus to maybe go away. And also what happens is Navarra gets this kill on Surf here, because Surf has decided, well, okay, they aren't on B. They had a pretty good inkling that obviously they aren't on B. So Surf have pushed up all the way to here, and he's just, watching for any cross that comes back out from this A site. He probably didn't realize that Navarra actually has an op of his own, and so Navarra is able to find this kill on Surf. But the important thing that we have to watch here is Cruz, because Cruz is going to re-aggress. He was about to just, leave the B site and come over towards A, because Surf has got this, right? He's in a pushed up position. He can see if anyone's there. But because Surf died, he decides to re-aggress and come back up there. And you can see the Liquid players kind of eventually decide, well, yeah, this site isn't ours. And so we're going to have to come back towards the other side. And so here's Cruz, and he's in a very tricky position that you would never expect anyone to be in. And he finds the first kill, but I love here that, he goes and re-aggresses on the second player. He doesn't just stay and let Yampy, swing out where he knows he's going to be. He goes and re-aggresses on Yampy and finds that second kill as well. And from here, the round is pretty much won. Obviously, you can see Scream's health here, and it's not going to go well for him because he's now very worried about Cruz and what's going to go on. And so he's actually picked off by Foxy, and then Link, obviously with only 12 seconds left, he doesn't have the spike. There's no way he can win this round. And Xerxia, another very well played round by them. And now let's come to Xerxia's attacking side, and it's not every day you see a 6k ace, but here is one of them, and it's been a while since I can remember seeing one of these in pro play, but they do happen every so often, and here is one. And we need to focus on our man Scary here, and just his absolute knack for timing. Some of these players, Scary's one of them, Nats is another as well, where they just seem to have a like absolute sixth sense for like timing things and when to actually push through a smoke or something like that. It's absurd how good they are at it. And this is just another case where the timing is absolutely unreal this time for Scary. Because what's going to happen is you got this Viper up in mid and this Jet is here as well. But the Viper and Sova are going to swap, I guess, because they thought, you know, the Sova is going to dart this at some point, or, you know, wants to be in a position where maybe he can, you know, get shock darts onto either plant site easier or something like that. And so what's going to happen is this Viper's going to turn away, the Sova is running up the ramp, and that is the moment that he pushes through the smoke. And so he ends up in this little cubby here, and then this, well, this is just absolutely unbelievable. He sees Yampy shooting into the smoke, and he just must be thinking, well, I've got them here. And then Yampy does this, and this is absolutely unbelievable. He literally jumps right in front of him. It's absolutely absurd, and he just, you know, kind of plays with his food for a bit. And eventually is going to kill him. Now, whilst all of that is going on, actually the rest of Xerxia are on this B site. They've got the Sage Wall set up here, and they don't actually have guns in this round. So this Sage Wall is a big problem, and it's kind of trapping them because they only have Sheriffs and Marshals over here, and Scream has managed to get a kill as well. But if we just watch the map, I just want you to watch how much chaos and confusion this causes for Liquid, the fact that Scary has just gotten a kill from deep here in mid. Because we're going to watch this Sage and Killjoy, and you can see the pings on the map as well. They have a ton of areas to worry about because really Scary could be in a lot of positions right now. He could, you know, be potentially coming up here and trying to get aggressive. He could have just stayed back here if he wanted to, and, you know, maybe they're just going to use that for a push. He could have potentially, you know, tried to come around here and maybe is about to re-aggress onto the Sage here. He could be coming up tube potentially. He could have gone back. Like, there's a lot of different positions he could be in potentially now. And that's going to cause them some real issues because they're going to devote 2 players to basically going on a fact-finding mission of, well, where actually is he? And you can see how cautious they have to be. The Sage and Killjoy, you can see the Killjoy, the pinging back here as well. They're very, very cautious about where Scary actually is. He's already on this B site completely, you know, ready to fight with the team pretty much. And what's happened is because they've sent these 2 players here to kind of slowly scout out what's going on, he's been able to rejoin the team, and they've left Scream all alone here on this B site, and he's about to get pinged by this Sova dart, so he feels the need to actually swing this, and it's actually Scary who's the one to actually pick him off. Now with that information, they go and res Yampy now that they know where the Viper is, but then we are about to get a Viper's Pit in here. And so they're going to get the spike down, and then in comes the Viper's Pit. Again, Scary using it from this kind of elevated position, which he does pretty much all of the time, creating this kind of weird Viper ult that, you know, thankfully for him, does manage to go over the spike as well. And then they're just going to play, you know, with the Viper ult. Obviously, probably the strongest ult in the game in terms of it just allows you to actually do this. You know, there aren't many ults in the game that give you the ability to 6k, but there is a bit of a mistake here from the side of Xerxia, and that is Foxy here doesn't hold this for the rest of his team. You know, that's kind of his job. He has the alarm bot here. You know, and there's no real need to come back and peek this. He just gets a bit antsy that maybe someone is about to come behind him. And that actually cost them quite dearly because Soulcast is about to come around the back of the ult here. So just whilst his back is turned, Soulcast is able to walk into the back of the ult. You can see Foxy, you know, they think that Foxy's got it, but he doesn't. And so it does end up costing them 2 kills, but Scary's able to get Link with the snake bite, and then he's able to find, you know, a couple more kills with that. Navera has an op, so he's ready to save, but then Scary says, no, I want my 6k ace. Give it to me. He runs out with his classic and gets the final kill for the 6k. And now let's come to round number 19. And one thing I'm just going to talk about as we watch this round play out is the Sage Wall that Liquid are about to put up. This one here, because this round is going to be a bit of a slow round. So it's going to give me the time to talk about this Sage Wall right here. Because this Sage Wall is super, super, super effective. It covers both of the sides of the entrance to B. You can go up onto these boxes, yes, but you need to use an ability, an Omen, Teleport, Jet, Updraft, something like that, right, to actually get up here. And the thing is, you kind of have to destroy all of it. Because if you just destroy like one side, one lane of it, like let's say you destroy this side, well, there could be an op there just waiting for you. You know, as soon as you destroy it, op comes, you die, you know, you're down a man. If you just destroy this side as well, you're kind of in a bit of a situation where potentially, again, you could get something like a Sage Slow into Viper Molly into like Shock Dart from mid. Like, I actually think that that could be something that Liquid implemented as well. So it's kind of like either your whole team has to be there and destroy it straight away, or you just kind of have to wait for it to go down. It's a very, very good Sage wall, and I think, it gives you orb control as well if you want to just farm up orbs as a Sage as well. So I think it's a very effective wall that you might consider using. Now, as we watch the rest of the round play out now, we're just going to get a pretty normal B execution. Scream's able to find a kill there. He's going to trade some bullets back and forth here, and eventually he's going to dash out. But then we're going to see Sushi Boys soon enough make a game-winning round. Now, here's the thing. Here's the situation for Xerxia. They are a man down. They go for the res, but quickly Surf dies. They do manage to trade it out, but before that had all happened, what Sushi Boys have decided, I'm going to try and make a round-winning play because there's only 16 seconds left. They don't have much control of the site, if any control of the site. They know they're pretty much just going to have to wall up, hope that they can get it down, and, go from there. And so Sushi Boys, because obviously you're playing Killjoy, there's going to be a lot less flanking in the game, because obviously there's no surprise factor there. You know whether they're coming or not. So in general, neither team really flanked that much in terms of when the other team was attacking, because it's not that useful. You know the Killjoy is going to have stuff there to stop you from doing just that. So Sushi Boys uses that to his advantage, knowing that there won't be a flank, and decides, well, I can then try and make this push, and hope basically that no one is in mid. Now, the thing is, they are in a bad situation here. There isn't much time left. They don't have much control. They need to get the spike down. So he just decides, I'm going to make a risky play, which is the correct choice. And luckily for him, no one is in mid. No one is there to meet him. And so what's going to happen is he's going to run mid just as they're getting the spike down as well. So obviously everyone's focus is on the spike. You can see all the Liquid players, just aiming in on the site, and Sushi Boys is able to come around the back and get 2 kills. But then he decides, okay, I've got my 2 kills. They now know that I'm here, so I need to move. And again, he has choices, right? He could maybe try and keep pushing. He could come back, or he could go do what he does and go all the way around the back instead. Now, this third option is the one that he takes. It's probably, the least likely option that a Liquid were expecting. And that, again, is just a great thing, right? They're probably expecting that he might just push through, in which case they'd know he's there. But then if he isn't seen in the next couple seconds, they probably would have thought he's just gone and grouped up with the team. But no, he's gone crazy because he's going to go the other way. Now, there's actually a mistake here from Scary, because what should happen here, really, they know that Sushi Boys is coming around the back. The other 2 players just need to live and give Sushi Boys as much time as possible. So Scary's little peek there, and then really Cruz peeking in. I know he wants to trade the kill, but really Sushi Boys is the one who's going to win you this round, because he's in a position that, Liquid aren't expecting. You can see Link, even though they knew he was in mid, they have no idea where he is, and after a little aim reset there, he is able to win the round. And then finally, let's come to round number 22. There isn't anything too crazy about the initial part of the round here. It's just going to be a pretty standard B push. We got the Viper ult on A, as you can see from the defensive side, so they aren't going into it, luckily for them. And yeah, they're just going to push down this B side. Now, you saw where Scream was there on top of this box. Bit of a weird position, but what he's got is the jet knives, of course, and he's going to updraft here, double updraft from here, and just go Super Saiyan crazy mode in there. You can see the executors coming in onto the side from Xerxia here. You got the jet smoke down, and he is actually able to find the Sage, which is a pretty big kill, because that means they don't have a wall for the plant. But whilst this is going on, and again, you've lost that Sage, you're in a disadvantaged position, Surf decides to do something super sneaky, because what's happened is we get the Viper ult from the side of Xerxia as well. Again, same position from Scary here. It's going to cover the spike just in this position, and it's again another kind of bait setup from the side of Xerxia, where you're expecting again that everyone on the side of Xerxia is going to be in this area, because they're going to play, in or around the Viper ult and use that to their advantage. But actually, Surf is ahead of it, and he completely catches them off guard, not expecting anyone to be there at all, tucked into that little corner. They even send in the Sova drone as well, but because the Viper was up, it doesn't see him, and look at him just staying silent. And he's able to get 1, 2, and 3, goes for the Killjoy lockdown, but actually isn't able to destroy it in time, but they have a Sova ult to destroy it instead, and that pretty much is able to win them this round, as Link comes on the flank. But then as Scream and Link here are about to reaggress into the Viper's pit, Xerxia are able to deal with them. Scream is actually going to miss a couple knives here, I think, and then as he's pulling out his gun, that's what's going to cost him there, right there, and so Scary's able to get that last kill. But just again, that kind of like bait setup, they're full of just these like in the moment bait setups, like, you know, why would you expect someone to be there? Very ratty position, and I absolutely love it. And this was a great series by both teams. Both teams played very well throughout the entire thing. It was thoroughly enjoyable to watch, and I'm sure any of you that saw it you know, would definitely agree. It was very, very tense, and so I'm very much hoping and very much looking forward to both these teams playing more. I really hope that Xerxia make it through, because I think they definitely have deserved to make it through, and they've been a very interesting and fun team to watch thus far.